5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Web Boxing 101 podcast. I want to say hello to all my fans, I guess I can call them that, all my followers on Facebook and also on YouTube. Once again, another edition of the Boxing of the Sweet Science, right? We haven't been in touch with you guys for the last 2 weeks, but we're back. We took some time to get guests. Work got in the way, and now I'm back. So welcome on this Wednesday, November the 14th. We usually have them on Thursday, but we got to accommodate our guests as well. Like always, we are coming to you by the installations of Warriors Edge Boxing Gym facility in El Paso, Texas. And it is a podcast first of its kind, live streaming inside a boxing gym, transmitting while the kids, guess what? They're hitting the bags just as raw as it gets. And you'll probably hear the bags banging in the background and also the boxing bells getting it on. Well, we have a special guest today, and we have an individual, an El Pasoan, and we're going to get to interview him, but today's guest is none other but El Paso Times reporter, Mr. Felix Chavez. And you've seen him on Instagram, on Facebook, on social media. He's all into the sports scene here in El Paso, but real interesting, he's also a part of the boxing scene as he reports it and reports pro and amateur. So we'd like to welcome Felix Chavez to the gym. Mr. Chavez, so glad you can be with us. Welcome to Warriors Edge.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
You got it, man. Thanks for being here. And folks, don't forget, man, to please comment on our live chat, and from there we can establish dialogue and whatever it is on your mind. YouTube right now and call them. Just type in Web Boxing 101, or just simply drop us a line, or visit us at www.warriorsedgeboxing.com, where all my podcasts are recorded. And we have a new Facebook page as well called Web Box. It's not Web Podcast 101 no more. It's called Web Box. We just changed it to reach more listeners, more fans. And by time to time, we're gonna be posting questions or just something so I can, hey, look, man, I want to see what you're thinking about fights, fighters. And what we posted last night or yesterday, the producer posted best boxer of all time. The best boxer of all time. And people were able to chat. People were able to give us our predictions of who is their favorite fighter, right? And it's going to be interesting to see, and I got it right now, so we're going to go live right now on Facebook, and you see Mr. Felix Chavez there on the screen. So we're going to go ahead and read some of the results that we had from people that were talking about who is their best boxer of all time, and it's a big, broad of spectrum of how many fighters are out there. Felix, who is your best boxer you think is of all time?
Wow, that's a loaded question. It's a lot of great fighters out there, but I would say Roberto Duran. Having grown up watching him fight in the late 70s, early 80s, mid 80s, he had so many great fights, and he had such a great passion for the sport. And just watching him, I think he was my favorite all time.
Roberto Duran, wow, and he was pretty good. Huh? I mean, he's a legend in boxing, right? And it was a different era, a different time, but he was bringing it, right?
And he fought everybody.
And he fought everybody. Any one of your most memorable fights of Roberto Duran?
Sugar Ray Leonard, the brawl in Montreal. I mean, I think that's, if you're a Duran fan, I think that might be the fight of all time, where he upset, maybe not an upset in his mind, but he kind of upset Sugar Ray Leonard, and, that was such a great fight. And and then coming back and beating Iran Barkley late 80s, when he was, a lot of people thought he was done, and he wins that fight in New Jersey. I remember that. That was a great fight as well.
Great fight, right? Great fight. And here's what some of my fans put on the web boxing. Brandon Soto put, I'm not sure. All I know, it's not Cassius Clay. I'm surprised you didn't say Muhammad Ali. Gonzalo Anaya said Manny Pacquiao. You like Pacquiao?
Manny's solid. He's a old school kind of fighter. He has a lot of fights. He fights a lot. Well, maybe not toward the end of his career, but he had that period where he fought a lot of people, and he's fought everybody.
Richard Ortega, Pote, Sugar Ray Leonard, Carlos Alvarez, Juan Manuel Marquez El Dinamita, awesome fighter as well. He's one of my favorites. Diego put Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Also, Christopher Trujillo put Mike Tyson. Herman Delgado put Ali, Cassius Clay, Mario Macias, Rocky Marciano. And that's an interesting character.
Going back to the 1950s, the undefeated heavyweight champion, never lost, and he was a great story too. He just rose up the ranks and fought a lot of great fighters.
Brutal rounds.
Yeah, tough. He was a tough guy, and he had to work to be a good fighter. He wasn't a natural, just reading about his history.
Yeah, and he had to work to be a fighter. And he didn't have skills, like he wasn't born with those skills, and eventually he developed into the legend of Rocky Marciano.
And he was a popular fighter, at that time. People liked him and they followed him, and I think as he got better, people just started kind of, gravitating toward him.
And folks, you're watching live on Facebook. We'd like to welcome everybody. Christian Smith there, Alonso Morales, JJ Martinez, Bullet is there watching as well. So if you guys want to comment on who is your best boxer of all time, we'll be more than happy to share who was your favorite fighter or the best boxer of all time of your era. Going down the line also, we had Armando Rubalcaba said Iron Mike Tyson, the devastating punch and knockout artist. Joe Hidalgo, this is a funny one, Butterbean. Louis Trevino's Arturo Gatti, Thunder, which is another one of my favorite fighters. And then Eduardo Hernandez from Borderland Brawlers, Rocky Marciano. Interesting because, like you said, Rocky Marciano, and he's probably the most interesting character on this list. Can you believe that nobody put Canelo Alvarez?
Yeah, I think Canelo is one of those guys that in 20 years, more people are going to probably like him. I think now, he's still growing, he's still evolving as a fighter. He's a great fighter, and but I think he kind of, I don't know. There's a lot of people, they use him in comparison to Chavez or Salvador Sanchez, and maybe that's wrong right now, But I think eventually in 20 years, but we're going to look back and say, wow, he was a great fighter.
Well, to what point is he wrong? I mean, he's actually, we call him a four-time world champion. I mean, what else does he have to do?
Well, I think there was the question. He had the positive for the drug test. Where he had to get suspended for a while, and I think that put some question in people's minds. Is he doing it the right way?
So let me ask you a question. I mean, technology, of course, technology is nowadays, and the testing is more, of course, a little bit better than before. How do you know before, back then, fighters were not taking anything because there was not the sanctioning bodies. There were not testing fighters. And I'm not tainting nobody in the past, but who's to say that Rocky Marciano didn't take some type of supplement? I don't know. I'm not saying he did, or the Roberto Duran, Sugar Ray. I'm not saying they did, but who knows, right?
True.
I mean,
exactly.
Now it's getting more sophisticated as far as the testing these fighters. More technology comes, and it's easier to detect stuff that they're put in. But you're right. I mean, Canelo lost a lot. I think Canelo lost a lot of fans when he was caught dirty, right?
Yeah. Exactly, and then the whole thing with Triple G, they thought the third fight was going to happen, and it hasn't happened, and I
don't want it to happen.
Yeah, so I think there's some people probably upset about that,
and then
just to put some finality to it.
And then they see the Kovalev fight, and then he destroys them, right? Joe Villanueva is watching live. You want to say hello to him? He put Roberto Duran. Good. Just like you.
Yeah, that's good,
right? Roberto Duran is an awesome fighter. So. Staying on the Canelo topic, we talk about a guy named B.J. Saunders, right? This past weekend, he retains his WBO at 168-pound title. He is the WBO super middleweight champion. He scored an 11-round knockout over previously unbeaten Marcelo Coceres on Saturday night. Coceres is from Argentina. Coceres gave Sanders fits for 10 lackluster rounds, but Saunders woke up in the round 11 and dropped him. The time was 1 minute and 59 seconds. The reason why I bring Billy Joe Saunders in the picture is because he's the guy that's been gunning for Triple G and Canelo Alvarez at that weight, and he's going to stay at that weight. Do you think Canelo can be a contender at the weight that he is when he fought Sergio Kovalev? So should Canelo stay at that weight?
I think as he gets older, he's probably going to have to stay at 160, 175, and he's proven to be effective at the higher weight. I think it's going to be harder to go back down to 160. I mean, he can do it, but he's going to kind of sap his strength, I think. So I think staying at 168, 175 would be great for his career, and there's a lot of guys he can fight there, and the guys will move up, too, to fight him.
So what did he fight Kovalev at?
I think buck 175.
175. And Canelo walks 180. So I think it was easy for him. In my opinion, and folks that are watching and listening, I think Canelo should stay at the 175. I think he's strong there. I think he belongs there, and I think those are the fights we want to see him fight. And continuing real quick, it's going to be a possible match for Saunders and Canelo in May. Okay, following after that, September, maybe the trilogy with Triple G. So Canelo Alvarez can be facing Billy Joe Saunders in May to unify the titles. And then the trilogy match, Triple G, right? This is according to the ESPN source. Nothing is agreed within at this time, but it's quite possible that Sanders and Triple G will be facing Canelo Alvarez in his 2 slots, because he has 2 slots with DAZN in 2020. And there's been talks, and premature talks have already started between Canelo's camp and Saunders' management, right? This is according to Chris Mannix from DAZN. Canelo Alvarez currently holds the world titles in 3 weight classes, ensuring that he's a modern-day Henry Armstrong. Alvarez stopped a Sergey Kovalev in the 11th round last week in Las Vegas in a stunning knockout. And it was awesome, man. Canelo made it clear after the fight that he wants to defend his titles at 160 and 168. And he's ready to move down in weight to do that. He's held the WBA, and here's what it gets complicated. The WBA regular and super middleweight title 11 months since defeating the not as shiny, not lackluster, their Rocky Fielding last December, right? Billy Joe Saunders, on the other hand, is 31-year-old. Did his part to keep the Canelo sweepstakes by defeating Coceres this past Saturday at the Staples Centers in Los Angeles. So who knows? Will likely be the easiest for Canelo to unify against him. I believe, Felix, that if he goes down to that weight, he's going to beat him easily. If you saw Billy Joe Saunders this past Saturday, folks, if you saw him, he didn't look that good. Who is Coceres from Argentina? Who's that guy? I think Canelo will beat him easy. I think Canelo will blow up to 175 and fight him. And the fight night, Canelo will be 175, and Billy Joe Saunders will barely make 168.
I'm conflicted on the Saunders fight. I think there's a lot bigger names out there, for Canelo to fight, but he's got such a big contract with DAZN. I think it was 10, 11 fights, so he's got to fill that.
And he has 2 slots next year.
I'd like to see him fight Triple G first. I'd like to see the fight I'd want to see is Dimitri Bivol, who's a powerhouse at 175. I think that would be a great fight. I think Deroshenko, the guy who fought Triple G, and that was a heck of a fight.
So let me ask you about that fight. You thought Sergey Trechevenko won the fight?
I thought he did.
Why did you score that fight that he won?
I just thought he was busier. I thought he came on strong. He's a strong fighter. He fought Daniel Jacobs close. He could easily be undefeated.
And you know what, Felix? I thought that Triple G won the fight by 1.
Okay.
Or it would have been a draw.
Yeah, it was a good fight.
I mean, but it could have gone either way. It was a very close fight by 1 round. The only reason why I think Triple G won the fight is because he knocked him down.
Sure.
He dropped
that
him,
helped.
and he's the champ.
Huge.
But yeah, you think Canelo's going to face a guy like that? Hell no. He's not even in the talks right now at all.
I know. Unfortunately, I think that would be a great fan fight.
The hardcore boxing fans would love to see Canelo fight one or both of them. It's either going to be the one that you just say, Bivol, which is he's a knockout artist, but I would like to see Bivol against Jaime Munguia. The other guy that people are not talking too much, and according to the sources that we have, they did not talk about Beterbiev.
Okay.
And he's the other Russian that wants Canelo, and that'll be a good fight to see. And you know what, Felix? I thought we were going to see that fight. And now we're talking about Billy Joe Saunders. Come on, man.
Yeah,
Come on. Saunders and Triple G next year. We don't want to see that.
Nah, Better Beef would be a great fight.
Better Beef will be a great fight, or Bivol.
Exactly. Better Beef is a strong fighter. He's an exciting fighter. You know, the problem is he's a top-ranked fighter, so it's going to be a harder fight.
And you know what? Eddie Reynoso said that Sergey Kovalev is better than Bitter Beef. I don't think so. Kovalev was good.
Yeah.
But
maybe 5 years ago. Maybe 10.
5 years ago. It is safe to say that Canelo will never fight Bitter Beef or Bivol, because those guys are in their prime and create a lot of problems for him. And if you see Bivol, he'll create a lot of problem for them because of that. You know what I mean? Alonso Morales just said Robert Duran was his best fighter, but then also he's saying that at 175, would Canelo's shorter arm reach by a disadvantage? No, he won't. There's no disadvantage with Canelo at a shorter arm. He fights the inside. He fights very good. And to be honest with you, I'm not a big Canelo fan, but I like Canelo.
Canelo, you know, he's underrated as a defensive fighter. You know, he's really good. I think his trainers, the Reynoso clan that's been training him, they've done a great job with him. If you watched them several years ago when he fought Floyd Mayweather, he's grown so much since that fight. I mean, Mayweather made a lot of guys look bad, but Canelo's really grown.
He's matured as a complete fighter. So it doesn't matter if they have height advantage, because they're saying at 175 you have taller fighters. Well, Beterbiev, Bivol, I mean, we're talking about, they're not as tall. It'd be a perfect match for Canelo at 175. The other guy also that is in the pictures might be Jaime Munguia, the other Mexican sensation that will be a great Cinco de Mayo tournament, but he's not in the talks.
I think, that fight's probably a couple years away. I think they want to see him grow his fan base a little bit, which he is. In fact, I think they said he's slated to fight again in San Antonio here pretty soon. That's the last.
Jaime Munguia, you're right. And you know what? Munguia needs a lot.
Yeah.
He didn't look too good against Hogan.
Yeah.
I thought he lost the fight against Hogan, and they ripped off Hogan from that fight. I thought he had one fight.
Yeah,
the Irish kid.
Munguia is fun to watch. He just has to grow. He needs probably another 5-6 fights before he can really start thinking about fighting Canelo.
Well, Triple G, on the other hand, is defending his IBF middleweight title against the mandatory challenger, which is Camille Serrameta, right? In January or February, talks are in it. I believe it's going to be in February. The date of Golovkin's title defense makes it impossible to face Canelo in May.
Sure.
If it's in February, of course. It's too short of a turnaround time, and Canelo isn't going to take the risk of waiting to see if Triple G can make it through the fight with Camille without getting injured. Golovkin almost lost his last fight. We're talking about Derevyanchenko, barely beating him. That was in the middleweight title fight, or a middleweight title in October the 5th. But like you said, Canelo fans would like to see that. Beterbiev, Bivol. But we forgot one person that's in the news, Andre Ward.
Yeah, Andre's come out and say he doesn't want to come back, and I believe him. He's been gone for a while, but Andre is a great fighter, and I think there toward the end of his career, he seemed, I don't want to say disinterested, but he had kind of slowed down anyway.
He did slow down. I think he had claimed because he had family and he is more. He said thanks, but no thanks.
Yeah.
I'm not coming out of retirement to fight Canelo Alvarez. There's been a lot of talk when that fight was signed, and obviously since Canelo got the victory over Sergey Kovalev, he said that his phone was blowing up nonstop. There's been a lot of pressure from individuals in the business, entertainers, you name it, trying to pull me out. It's just something that I'm not interested in doing. But don't get me wrong. And this is where, and then he said, don't get me wrong. Okay, I'm a fighter at heart, and it's not hard to talk me into a fight. It's actually harder to talk me out of the ledge, off the ledge, and having great team members. We sit down and talk about these things, and I have to keep my word. And I have to stick to my conviction that I made September 21st, 2017. I feel like I'm going to be a better asset to the sport of boxing, my family, my church, all the things that I'm doing as a retired fighter than I would be if I came back. I would love to see Andre Ward.
Yeah, he's a great fighter, and he had a great career. And I remember when he cleaned up the super middleweight division on that Showtime deal where he fought a lot of the top guys, and that was a great tournament.
That was that super series, great tournament.
It was wonderful wins. That win against Carl Froch was amazing, and it'd be an interesting challenge for Canelo. I think Andre might want to have a fight before he fights Canelo just to get the rust off. But if it happens, but I don't know. It's interesting, you know. I guess
money talks, man.
Yeah, if enough people get in his ear, and you know, they
of course. And staying in that 168 and those guys, because I think right now it's the most interesting because of Canelo and all the guys that are after him, like the Charlo brothers. How about Daniel Jacobs? He has a fight. He has a date with the ever so popular Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. that got suspended. Okay, he just got suspended in Nevada for failing to take a drug test. The fight's scheduled to go on December 20th, so they got Arizona Commission to do it. So the former middleweight world title holders Daniel Jacobs and Chavez Jr. will meet in a 12-round super middleweight bout December 20th, and it'll take place at the NBA Suns' home. It's going to be in the Talking Stick Resort Arena in Phoenix, Arizona. Chavez participation in the bout comes with some controversy. Like always, it's Julio Cesar Chavez controversy Jr. He was temporarily suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission for declining to submit to a random voluntary anti-doping association drug test. But that is not expected to impact the bout because according to Hearn, which is Eddie Hearn, the promoter, the Arizona Boxing Commission has already issued a license to Chavez. You know, Jacobs and Chavez was originally ticketed to take place in Las Vegas, and of course, and just in case you didn't know, Chavez has twice failed tests for banned substance in Las Vegas, which was a key reason the commission activated his enhanced drug testing. But Chavez refused to be tested when a collection agent showed up seeking sample at the Wild Card Boxing Club in Hollywood, where Chavez is training. And then he was suspended. And Chavez, in case you didn't know, will get Freddie Roach back in the corner. What do you think of that fight?
It's an interesting fight, but you know, Chavez Jr.'s career is it's gotten worse over the years, and I think he hasn't shown much dedication. You know, there for a while, he was showing the dedication, and he was doing some great things. You know, he came here to El Paso, beat Andy Lee in a good fight.
Great fight here in El Paso.
Even against Sergio Martinez, even though he lost that fight, he showed a lot of heart, and knocked down
so he was going
Martinez.
up.
Like, he was going up, but then after that, it's like he lost his will, he lost his desire. I remember he fought here a few years ago in El Paso against
Reyes.
Eldorado Reyes, and you know, it was Reyes fought tough and he fought hard, but you know,
smaller guy.
But we didn't see the best of Chavez Jr. and the fans didn't like it. You know, they came out, and I think by the end of the night they were cheering for Reyes.
To win. He showed heart, and Reyes was a smaller fighter.
Exactly.
Going to that weight differential,
and it's hard being, you know, he's the son of a legend, you know, and it's hard to follow in those shoes, you know, and he grew up around it, he saw it, so he knows it, and I think, you know, the expectations for him were so great, and there's nothing he could do that would have ever lived up to it. And it's weird because his brother Omar was supposed to be the one that was supposed to be the really good fighter, and he's had an okay career but nothing great. Chavez Jr. hit the gold pot, you know, with signing with Top Rank, winning a title, fighting on HBO, you know, fighting all over the world, getting paydays, but then Jacobs should win. Jacobs, I think, still has something left. You know, he didn't fight bad against Canelo. I think
and he didn't fight bad against Triple G.
Yeah, so I think he's there. I think he probably has, you know, a couple fights left in him. So I think it'll probably be a decision win for Jacobs.
And then it'll get him to the bigger fights. Billy Joe Saunders. I don't know. I would like to see that. That'll be a better fight than what's going on. But yeah, we'll see, man. And it's not over. I mean, we have a long way to go to December 20th. There might be controversy. Who knows more? Because like you say, Chavez is full of controversy. I'm surprised Freddie Roach took him back.
Yeah, I guess, you know, those two.
Money talks.
Yeah, money talks. And when those two were working together for a while, it worked. So maybe they're trying to find that magic again.
Exactly. Well, I mean, and we'll see that fight event, and you know the undercard's going to be stacked. But you know what? Also, what's going to favor Chavez if we see that fight is going to be in Phoenix. So a lot of Mexican fan base, because still, despite of what we're talking about Chavez, he still has a big fan base, especially here, Phoenix, border towns, New Mexico, Texas. He does, and you know what? I don't know if you've seen him, but he looks pretty good, man. He looks ripped.
Yeah, I mean,
so we'll see.
Maybe he's gotten serious again. I mean, this is it for him. If he loses this one, he really is done.
Yeah, he's done. He's done.
So this is his last chance.
Yeah. Well, folks, That was the part that we move on now without Pro. We're still going to be talking a little bit about Canelo Alvarez surgery and all that, the fiasco that we saw this past Saturday. But first, before I even forget, I want to give a shout out to my people in Las Cruces, New Mexico. This past weekend, saw the USA boxing event hosted by the Las Cruces Pal Boxing. It was a great event. 10 evenly matches. It was great to see Louis Burke and his wife, in which he treated us very well. They always treat us well. All the Las Cruces gyms treat us very good. Thank you so much. So many congratulations to all the fighters and boxers that were out there. We get to the weigh-ins, and they got free breakfast. That is so cool. They free lunch too. It's awesome for families to go out there. I've never seen that. But you know what? That's what I expect from Las Cruces people, man. The gyms out there, when we go out to compete over there, they treat us very well. So it was a great event put by Henry Cabrera from Las Cruces, but also the Louis Burke was there, and he's a top-notch guy, right?
Sure.
He's been
around.
He's been a staple here in the boxing. He's a staple in the boxing world here in El Paso and Las Cruces, training the likes of Austin Trout, which he was also in, and then also Jennifer Hahn, which there's rumors that she's coming back in February.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. She just had her first child, and I think she's ready to go get back in the ring. And I saw her last week when I was visiting Zach Prieto in Las Cruces. She was driving in as I was leaving, so she was getting in the gym to work out. So, yeah, they're hoping, I think, February to get her back in the gym, in the ring for a fight.
Well, she's got to make the weight, and she's got to fight or else she loses her title.
Yeah.
That's the stipulation. She's got to get in there. I mean, but, man, how hard can that be for just having a baby? The body literally transforms into something else and is trying to get back into and the doctors know more, of course. I mean, you don't think it's dangerous maybe, or it's better to drop the fight or not? What do you think, Felix? I mean, do you think she should just drop the fight for safety reasons and get her prepared a little bit better? Or is there enough time to get her prepared for a February card fight?
Yeah, that's definitely something she's going to have to look at too. But, Jennifer's smart, and, she's, her family is her first priority. So I think she's going to take every step,
of course,
that's necessary. Right? And, I don't think she's going to rush back.
No, yeah, I'm excited to see her, man.
Yeah, it's been a while.
She sells tickets, and you know what? In other words, she's our savior to boxing here in the Sun City.
Yeah, for a while there, she was the only one that was, generating, some fights for a couple of years. Yeah.
Yeah, the last one was at the Southwest University Park.
Yeah, they had a really nice crowd. Yeah,
very crowd. You also talked about another El Paso and Zach Prieto. Zach Prieto is going to fight this Saturday, and it's going to be televised on Showtime. And he fights at the Wynn Vegas Casino and Resort. So that's going to be great. He's going to fight Amilcar Vidal. So Zach Prieto, shout out to him. What do you tell me about Zach Prieto?
Actually, the fight's going to be Friday night. Friday night at 8:30. He'll be the first fight on it's a showbox card. There's going to be 3 fights. He's going to be the first fight up. And, I've talked to Zach, a couple times, and he's ready. He looks good. He looks sharp. It's a big test for him. He doesn't know a lot about the other guy. He's from Uruguay. He's undefeated. Just like Zach, he's got a lot of knockouts. So it'd be surprising if this fight goes the 8 rounds.
Wow.
But I think between them they have 17. Of their 8, they're both 9-0. I think 17 of the wins have been by knockout. So it's going to be an interesting fight. I know they've been working on a lot of things. Inside. Zach's a good inside fighter, and he's going to have to use that because his opponent is 6'2". Zach's about 5'9". So he's
going back to that height.
Yeah, so he's going to have to really work inside. He's going to have to be good on defense. And I know they've been working. They've been sparring with Austin Trout. They've been sparring with Tim Meek. They brought in a fighter from Juarez. I think A.B. Hahn's been helping him out a little bit just to get ready. So it helped that Zach fought on October 5th, so he didn't really gain a lot of weight.
He hasn't had a layoff, or he stayed primed for this fight. And he fought recently. He fought in Vado, New Mexico.
Yeah. And
that was a pretty easy defeat for him. He beat him, right?
Yeah, first round knockout against a veteran.
So and he does look good, and he's an inside fighter. So and I'm wishing him the best. And you say it's on Showbox, a new generation?
Yeah, it's in fact, it's going to be, if you're a fight fan, it's a great night because you got the 3 fights, but it's following the new Sonny Liston documentary on Showtime that starts at 7 o'clock El Paso time. So if you're out there free on Friday night, you might want to check that out. It's the Sonny Liston, I think it starts at 7, and then the boxing card starts right after that at 8:30.
So yeah, it's a great weekend to watch boxing.
Yeah.
And my best wishes go out to Zach Prieto, man.
Yeah, he had a nice amateur career, about 70 wins. Just a good kid, and I think he's feels confident. You look at him; he's not scared at all. He's ready. It's a huge opportunity for him. If he can win this fight, it's going to open up some doors for sure.
Oh, for sure, man. So big shout out to Sac Prieto. Best of luck. They're on the road probably to get there.
Yeah, I think they left today.
They left today.
The weigh-ins are tomorrow.
The weigh-ins are tomorrow, so we'll be keeping a close eye, and hopefully he comes home to the victory. And like you said, it'll open doors because, hey, man, we need an El Paso and open doors at the pro level, man. And it's good. You know what? You know what the best thing about it? He's a real nice guy.
Yeah, no doubt. He's real humble.
Real humble.
He's always giving credit to his sparring partners, his coaches.
Yeah.
He's been sparring here in El Paso, too, with some of the amateurs, Aranda, Tovar, that have helped him out a lot. I forgot to mention those two guys earlier.
Yeah, Victor Aranda and Tovar, awesome individuals. They've been here at the Warriors Edge helping our kids.
Yeah, so I think, he's lucky. We were talking about that because he's got a lot of guys around his weight at 154, 160, 165 that can help him out, get ready for a fight. And that's important, as he gets deeper into his career.
So my best goes out to Sac Prieto. Best of luck, my friend. Ms. Chavez, tell us a little bit about yourself. What do you do? What do you do right now? And what do you work for?
I work at the El Paso Times as a sports reporter. Once in a while, they'll stick me on news, but mostly sports. I've been there since May of 2009. I was in Las Cruces, actually, for 9 years before that. Working, so that's where I got to know Louis Burke and those guys quite a bit. Lost in Trout. Grew up in Albuquerque, actually lived there till I was about 22, 23 before I moved on to my career. But I've been at the El Paso Times. I cover mostly high school sports, but I do a lot of boxing, do El Paso Chihuahuas. I'll help out with UTEP every once in a while. Horse racing, I do a lot of that stuff too. Just when Sunland Park starts or Rio Doso's going, I'll do a lot of that stuff. So.
It's not the season for that right now, right?
Actually, it's getting pretty close. They
November?
They started Sunland in December after Christmas, and then Rio Doso's mostly a summer deal.
So, but is boxing your preferred sport?
I would love for it to be all the time. There's been some, growing up, I used to watch all the fights on television on, back in the day when they used to have CBS, ABC, NBC, ESPN, USA Tuesday night fights. I used to watch them all when I could, or I would record them back when we had VCRs. But yeah, I love boxing. It's a great sport, and a lot of great memories. And
obviously, you know a lot about boxing, and you've been around boxing a long time. Like you just mentioned, a lot of great memories growing up. And I had some good memories, too. You know what I miss is that you mentioned a lot of television networks. I miss HBO.
Yeah.
That's where I grew up. That was the mecca of boxing for me. Tuning in Saturday nights to HBO, got attached to those announcers. I'm a big person when it comes not just to fight, but the overall production of the show. And I miss now that you compare HBO, Showtime to DAZN, which DAZN has made it easier for us to watch the fight. But the broadcasting team, I'm not a big fan of them, man. It kind of turns me off too as well. But yeah, growing up watching the fights like Oscar De La Hoya and Arturo Gatti, the trilogy with Mickey Ward, and they were great fights, man. And it made it special if you had HBO, and that just made it more special,
Yeah, no doubt. Because they had guys like Larry Merchant, Jim Lampley, George Foreman, Roy Jones, through the years. That people that cared about the boxing and had a great history about it. They were great storytellers.
That's the key, right?
And they would produce so many great fights. Then they had the legendary nights. I don't know if you remember that, where they had the 12 great fights.
Yeah, legendary
talked
nights.
About that. Yeah,
I'm gonna miss it, man.
They had those great programs.
That you saw the legendary nights when he talked about the trilogy, or he talked about Arturo Gatti.
Yeah.
Man, it was a great production. It brought chills to me in my skin, and seeing Arturo Gatti, those fights were awesome, man. 10-rounders that I'll never forget, and made me the boxing fan that I am now because of fights like that, and because of broadcasters or announcers like Jim Lampley.
And, they had so many cards. They obviously had the regular HBO, but then they had the HBO After Dark.
After Dark. That was awesome.
Which they started in the 90s for a long time. And, they had such a great group of fighters that were fighting on HBO. Showtime had some good fighters as well, but HBO really had the cream of the crop, and they had the announcing team. That made it.
That made the announcing team. Showtime has it now. If you look at DAZN, they just don't have it. I'm sorry, but I think they're trying too hard. Joe Villanueva said Telemundo is probably his what he likes. Telemundo has fights, have some good announcers as well.
Telemundo is very good.
They all the Spanish ones will always have good announcers.
Yeah, well, Telemundo is really the only one that shows it on a regular basis now. I think there used to be the Spanish fights on Saturday nights or Friday nights, but that's kind of gone away, sadly.
But I miss HBO, and it's sad that they lost it. And of course, Showtime's still going hard. Right, but I think Showtime, you're gonna end. They have to do something because of the zone.
Yeah,
I mean, live streaming, that's great. We're seeing boxing. I mean, hey, just tell me, just turn off the volume and see boxing. But for me, it's got to be the whole spectrum of announcers, broadcasters, to the behind the scenes, the music, everything. I just don't think the zone has it at all.
Yeah, I'm surprised. It just kind of happened so fast. They got going. HBO just called it off. They said they were going to stop. So it happened so fast. I wish the zone would have kind of just stole what HBO did. I wish
even the announcers.
Yeah, I wish they would have done that. I think that would have.
I even think the ring announcers are confused.
Yeah, that would have given them some legitimacy. Maybe they don't take everybody from HBO, but they should have taken at least some of the crew, and that would have maybe helped the transition.
That even like if you see the ring announcer, what's his name? It's Showtime.
Lennon.
Yeah, Jimmy Lennon Jr. He doesn't even say it's Showtime no more.
Yeah.
If he comes out on ESPN, because it's Showtime has patented that or has the rights to it, and it's just been weird.
Yeah,
it's not the same.
No,
but it's great because more people can watch it,
sure,
and more people have access to it. And now these broadcasting has jumped on the bandwagon. Like for example, Fox. Now they're doing Fox pay-per-view.
Yeah.
What the hell's going on with that? I thought it was just now they're in it for Fox pay-per-view. ESPN pay-per-view. You got to be kidding me. We already pay ESPN. Now you want me to pay for ESPN Plus and ESPN Minus and ESPN to the third power? God damn, how many, I don't know how many levels are there. We pay for all of it.
Sure.
I
know. I wish in a lot of ways they were just trying to get rid of pay-per-view. In the 90s it was great. In the 80s, because those, like when Don King would put on a card, it was like $25, and you would get 4 great fights. Now it's $70, and you might get one. That's what bothers me more than anything, is that sometimes the pay-per-view cards aren't very good overall. Like the best one recently was when Errol Spence fought Sean Porter. The card was good. That was the best.
The card was stacked.
Yeah, that was the best pay-per-view card.
And that was a top-ranked card.
PBC.
But
for the most part, a lot of the pay-per-view cards aren't very good.
And then you got to pay for it. I know Charlo's going to be up on December 21st on Fox pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So Fox has the rights to him as well. I'm not a big Charlo fan, but he'd be on there as well. But you're right. I mean, stack the cards up right. Golden Boy does a good job in stacking it. I know we're going to see Ryan. We saw Ryan Garcia this past week, 2 weeks ago, under the Canelo fight. What did you think about Ryan Garcia?
Ryan's an interesting fighter. He's exciting. He's got some ability, but he hasn't really been tested yet. They were hopeful.
This one was going to be.
They were hopeful that last one was going to test him. So maybe he's that good. Maybe we just don't know it yet.
Well,
maybe.
We saw one round, and I'm like, no, I want to see more.
Yeah.
So do you think it's going to be Gervonta Davis?
That's those promoters got to work. At some point, sometimes we'll see it. Top Rank and Golden Boy just work together on the card. Sometimes you'll see PBC and somebody else work together. But for the most part, these guys don't work together. So there's a lot of fights left out there. Sadly.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Joviano just said it's on regular Fox, not.
Is it regular?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's regular Fox. I'm just so confused, man. There's so
many.
Talking about Ryan Garcia. I didn't see him hit the guy. It was a delayed knockdown.
Yeah.
I don't know what you saw, but I saw it delayed, and then he pretty much knocked him out. I mean, he hit the canvas pretty hard. Now, we talked about Gervonta Davis, and if he's going to be up and running for him. Gervonta Davis has been bashed recently because he's going to take Yoyois Gamboa. An older fighter has been... And I think it's good because Davis is not up to par, so it's probably a tune-up fight for a bigger fight. So we want to see Davis fight somebody, and we want to see Ryan Garcia because they're grooming Ryan Garcia to be the next Canelo.
Sure, Davis,
And he's good.
Yeah, Davis is starting to gain some popularity, back east. I don't know how good he is either because he hasn't really stepped up, and fought a big time name. But there's a lot of guys at that weight, and eventually these guys are going to have to fight each other, and we'd love to see it. The fans want to see it, and we've seen when there's great champions fighting each other, great contenders, people are going to watch.
Yeah, of course. So there's some upcoming individuals coming up as well, right?
Sure.
David Haney was one of them this past weekend. Did you see the Canelo Kovalev fight?
I did. I eventually
What did you
saw
think
it.
of it?
I thought,
Going back to Canelo.
Canelo was just, solid. He kind of waited his time. Kovalev didn't fight bad. I just thought he wasn't aggressive enough. I think there was a reason he wasn't, and we saw it in the 11th round when Canelo knocked him out. I think that's why he didn't press the issue a little bit more because he wanted to see if he could survive, and he survived till the 11th, and he got caught. But
Caught pretty bad.
Yeah, but Canelo was just patient. I think he
Canelo's always patient.
Probably a little bit, scary for his corner. They probably wish he would have knocked him out in the 8th or 9th round. I'm sure they were trying to edge him forward a little bit, but eventually once he opened up, it was clearly he was a better fighter.
And he was a stronger fighter.
Yeah.
And people were saying, and I heard this, that people were that I've heard around through the boxing socials that people were saying that if it went the distance, Kovalev would have won the fight.
It's possible, but he was doing some good things with his jab, but Canelo knew what he was doing. I think he saw he was just waiting his time, and then he caught him.
And you can clearly see the power, huh?
Sure.
I mean, yeah, they're saying Kovalev didn't unleash the way because he got his name by that, the crusher. We didn't see that. We saw a good technician, great technique, great skills, but we didn't see what we wanted to see to crush Canelo. Hit him with a good shot. The minute he did that and he tried, he got countered and he got brutally knocked out.
They knew that. I'm sure Buddy McGirt, his trainer, wanted him to be cautious and not get, especially at this stage in his career, because he's a little bit older. His legs aren't quite the same.
So we see the fight. So what did you think about the delay? That's something that's. I mean, what the fuck happened with the delay?
That was brutal. They left those fans. Well, they left all fans, but especially those fans sitting in the arena for all those hours. The fighters waiting around.
Well, the fighters knew already.
Yeah.
Because if you saw, before we even knew something was happening like that, Kovalev was asleep.
Yeah. But it was brutal. I mean, it's
bad for boxing.
It's very bad. Because it's one of those things. Boxing fans are boxing fans. They're gonna.
Who cares about the UFC or
exactly.
MMA? I don't care if there's somebody else going on.
And it's the same for UFC, MMA.
Who cares about boxing? Yeah, of course.
The UFC, MMA has those fans probably have a passing interest in boxing, like some of the boxing fans have passing interest.
Of course, like us.
And it's crazy. It was just awful. I remember some of my friends just gave up and just went home.
Wow, the fight.
They were at bars. People were texting. I just wanted to watching it. I saw it a couple days later. But a lot of my friends were at bars waiting to watch, and they just left. They were so tired. It was 11:30, 12 o'clock.
Yeah, and you know what? The fight almost finished at 2 in the morning over there.
Yes.
It was ridiculous, and it's all a business thing. And I think it was another stunt by DAZN.
Yeah.
And DAZN, look out. DAZN will keep giving us those stunts. I think it was all a business. Let's wait. And, it's not that Golden Boy and...
Dana White
are best friends.
Oh no, they dislike each other.
Or are they? It's all business. Maybe they do it for propaganda, for business, for viewing. But I have never seen something like that happen, that the fighters have to wait at least, they'll wait 10 minutes, malfunction on the ring, but not because there's another fight somewhere else.
Yeah.
They waited, 45 minutes?
Imagine if they did that in football or basketball or baseball. I mean, there's other games going on all over the country.
Yeah, let's wait until the Cowboys score a touchdown. Oh, no, they'll be waiting forever.
Yeah.
That was a joke.
But, it was just a stupid move. I can't believe they did it. And
horrible move.
It just looked, HBO would have never done that. Showtime would have never done that. ESPN would have never done that. Back when ABC, NBC had those fights, they would have never done it.
It's all, and it just made, again, Canelo haters hate him more.
Yeah.
Because they thought it's Golden Boy, he's the cash cow. They're the ones that approved, not Kovalev. It was them that said, hey, let's wait. And Canelo just waited. I mean, if I was any one of those fights, I would have said, no, bullshit, I'm not waiting. I got to get in the ring, because can that hurt a fighter?
I think it can, because, you have so much... vested in the fight. You have so much, especially fight day, I would imagine. It's like any other sport. You have so much energy built up, and you're thinking you're going to go into the ring at a specific time, and then they tell you, well, you're going to have to wait another hour.
Or did they know from the get-go coming into that arena that was going to happen?
Maybe.
They must have known.
They had to, yeah, you're right. But even then, you're so geeked up to fight. You want to be there at a certain time. And you don't want to be sitting around.
And you said the passing interest of the fights. Yeah, I'm not that I didn't care for, but I don't really. I'm here to watch the fight. Who cares what goes around the world in sports? I'm here to watch the Canelo fight.
Yeah.
What did you think of the KS1 Logan fight last week?
I know what they're trying to do. They're trying to build some interest and get some new people involved, and to an extent, it worked.
It worked. There was a lot of viewers. It caught me looking.
Yeah. It's probably something that's going to keep happening. I would think.
Oh my God!
Is my guess. As long as if they had any success, if they feel good with the numbers, they're going to keep trying.
And you're right; it did get good with the numbers, and it attracts viewers. But I disagree. That's my opinion. I thought that was bullshit. They should have had that fight in a special.
Yeah.
Tuesday night special on NBC. Have those two idiots fight in the middle of the ring. The reason why I call them idiots is because we should never bow to people like that. Billy Joe Saunders, Haney. No, those are real professional fighters that should have been on the main event. And that one should have been down. It's like Butterbean. Butterbean was not the main attraction. It attracted viewers to see him fight. Remember Butterbean?
Yeah, oh yeah.
That fight should have been like that. They hyped it up so much, and we played into it. Yeah, it brings new generations. Let me tell you something, man. I don't think boxing needs help like that.
No.
And I thought it was wrong. I mean, I stood up too, and it took forever also as well. But I wanted to see what the hoopla was, and there's a lot of people in social media saying, well, no, it's good for boxing and, the attractive. It's all about business. Yeah, I understand, man, but it turns off real fans off the boxing.
I think that's the one thing that's hurt boxing is the loyal fans. There's always going to be loyal fans. And it's a worldly sport. There's people are always talking about how boxing's kind of gone down. Maybe here in the United States it has, but it's still a worldly sport. You go to England, and you get 60, 70,000 fans.
Sports.
But Mexico is still popular. Puerto Rico, Philippines, it's hugely popular. Australia, when Pacquiao fought Jeff Horn there, the stadium was packed. What boxing has done that's hurt the fans is they've hurt the real fans, the fans that have been following it for a long time. They've hurt them. And they.
Do you think this hurt boxing?
It can in some respects. I think it hurt the loyal fans, because they get bothered by it.
I was bothered.
They get bothered by it, and I know they want more fans, but I think they have to remain loyal to the fans that have been following them for 50 years, 40 years, 30 years.
Look, boxing's here to stay. I don't think boxing's in trouble.
No.
I mean, we're gonna look Canelo. I don't even know the numbers. I know the numbers.
Well, he's still, when he fights, Mexico shuts down. They'll stop and watch him fight, and it'll be that way until he stops fighting.
I just felt that was a disrespect to the fighters, and I have a little bit more. I have a closing argument on that as well for the Logan fight. Speaking of the fan base, do you think that boxing has lost its fan base, or is it a thing of the past? And I guess you answered my question already.
I think I think it's still strong. I think. People are gonna watch. You go to a fight here in town. Sometimes I'll watch the pay-per-views at home, and sometimes I go to a sports bar to watch it. It's still packed. I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah.
People lined up. They want to watch the big fight. When Errol Spence fought Mikey Garcia in Dallas, they had 40,000 people.
Yeah.
So that shows you it's still pretty strong.
Pretty strong, yeah. Speaking of Errol Spence, do you think Errol Spence will ever fight again?
I think so. He lucked out. Well, he was, he had that crazy car accident. He had some facial injuries, but I think it was mostly superficial, so it's stuff that can heal.
There's rumors that something else might have happened to him.
Okay.
I don't know. I mean,
well, we
haven't seen him, and he hasn't come out publicly saying that he only tweeted and he said he's okay.
Okay, yeah. I mean, if something does come out and there's something else is wrong with him, yeah. But as far as the initial reports, he was going to be okay.
What a knucklehead move!
Yeah, it's just crazy.
I mean, he has everything in front of him, man.
And he's been so good,
out his career.
He's taken care of himself through the years. He hasn't done anything crazy like that. And now he has this accident at 3:30 in the morning, which raises questions. Why are you out at 3:30 in the morning?
Well, he got charged with DWI.
Yeah, so
and which is okay. I mean, hey, he's a human being. He did whatever, but he shouldn't be doing that. I think Felix that just scratched off a big fight against Manny Pacquiao.
it hurt him. I mean, who knows
for a year?
Who knows how long it'll take him? And Manny can't wait that long.
It can't wait that long. That's what I'm saying. I think it hurt him so bad that Manny's not going to wait. He does time. Father Time is not on Manny's side. He needs to fight. And I think that was the fight we were going to see, man. They had Manny Pacquiao versus Earl Spence, and that hurt him. Folks, what do you guys think? You can, again, let us know what you think. You're on camera right now. You're on live here. We're with Felix Chavez here at the Warriors Edge Boxing Gym. Let us know what you guys think live right now, folks. Earl Spence, you want to talk about boxing? Anything you want to talk about? The fiasco, the circus was in town. Logan versus KS1. I don't even know what the hell KS1 means, but let us know what you guys think. But Felix, going back to Earl Spence, he has the whole world in front of him. I really think Earl Spence is the key dog in boxing, better than Terrence Crawford.
No, I think he is. I think those two will fight eventually. I think there's just so much demand for it that PBC and Top Rank are going to have to come together.
Earl Spence and Terrence?
Yeah, they're going to have to make that fight, and maybe it happens end of next year, because Crawford's cleaned up everybody.
Well, who? Crawford's coming back to fight. I don't even know who the opponent is.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Name. That's what I'm saying. He's just waiting. He's beating junior welterweight
at his weight because there's nobody there.
Yeah, he cleaned up everybody at 140. 147. He could fight any number of those guys, but the fight that people want is him against Spence. I mean, there's been talk maybe Danny Garcia. He's probably still in line for a big fight. Sean Porter could probably come back.
Exactly, it would be Danny Garcia.
But people want Crawford Spence.
Yeah, of course. That's what we want. That's to be a big fight. But I really believe, Felix, that we're not going to see him in 2020.
Well, I hope so.
I don't think so.
I wish we did, but you're right.
I mean, he sustained some injuries, but again, nothing's been talked about. We haven't seen him. I haven't seen him.
Yeah,
nobody's seen him. Who knows, man? You never know. And then to top it off, maybe it was a broken tooth, but was it? Look, man, it's a facial injury. That can be a career-ending injury for a fighter. It's just like hurting your hands.
Yeah, especially if it hurt.
It's like a pitcher hurting his arm.
Yeah, if he injured an eye or
he got ejected.
I know,
from the car, a broken tooth. Thank God he's all right.
Yeah,
and thank God nobody got hurt, other bystanders. But it's a knucklehead move on his part. Of course, we don't condone that, and he got charged with DWI. I'm glad he's okay, and I hope to see him soon. I hope to see you soon, champ, if you're listening out there, man. We want to see the big fight, Earl Spence against Terrence Crawford. As a local reporter, right, do you think that El Paso is a boxing town in both amateur and pro levels?
I think they love the pro game for sure. I think we've seen some big crowds. When they had that day-night doubleheader a few years ago, it was on CBS and then Showtime. It was a pretty good turnout all day.
Was that the Chavez fight?
It was Chavez's at night. Carl Frampton was the day, but the crowd was pretty good all day. I think the afternoon fights had 5,000 or 6,000, and the night fight had close to 10,000.
Yeah, it was Chavez fight, and then came back with Victor Ortiz.
Yeah, that had a good
Devin
crowd.
Alexander.
Mickey Roman fought last November, had a pretty good crowd. I think.
So what happens this year? We haven't had a fight this year in El Paso.
Yeah, it's so weird. The last few years have been kind of up and down.
This year's zero.
Last year we had 3, and then this year's 0.
And then the year before that we had Jennifer Hahn.
Yeah. With Jennifer getting back in the mix, that'll help.
You think so?
Yeah, I think that'll.
Do you think promoters don't want to come to El Paso? What's the problem?
I think it's just the problem with the promoters. It seems like De La Hoya seems like he likes to stay in California. He fights a ton in California or Vegas. Vegas. That's where he's fun. PBC kind of bounces around, and they're starting to hit some other markets. They're like Baltimore. I think they have a fight card coming up in Atlanta for the first time in a long time. Or they have
one in Oregon.
Yeah. Top Rank likes to bounce around as well. They like to go to Fresno now.
But Top Rank's more our ally.
Yeah, they with Crawford emergence, they were in Omaha a lot.
Because of Crawford.
Deontay Wilder being from Alabama. So
in Alabama.
So lately, there's been some states that aren't typically your boxing states have big cards because of the people involved. So I think that's probably hurt El Paso a little bit because it's that market that maybe those fights would kind of sneak into. But they've had those fights in other places.
So you think when Jennifer Hahn comes, maybe she can.
Yeah, and then too, also with the emergence of some of the El Paso amateur fight, like if Zach wins, let's say Zach wins Friday night, well, you got to start to figure maybe his name starts to get out there. They might want to bring a show. Like if he wins, maybe Showtime says, hey, we'll bring another Showbox card to El Paso and put Zach on another card.
Yeah, and put Zach there. You're right.
And with Tovar and Aranda from El Paso, whenever they turn pro, I know there's some interest there.
There's some interest
from promoters. If they're good enough, they say, hey, let's start getting these guys promoted and putting on a card in El Paso or Las Cruces or even Rio Doso. I hear there might be a Rio Doso card with Austin Trout, coming up in February with Teresa Tapia again. So, that's going to help too. And so if everything works out with these younger fighters, there might be some shows coming.
You're right. It makes sense, man. If it's an El Pasoan, maybe it'll attract more fighters. Do you think the venue has a lot to do with it and the money that it generates or they charge?
Yeah, I mean, I know the Don Haskins Center, it's still a popular venue. I mean, they have a ton of concerts. The Coliseum here in El Paso, they both have a lot of concerts. I don't know how much the Haskins Center, I don't know, maybe sometimes they price themselves out.
Right.
For a fight card, especially if it's going to be a small one, you probably don't want to put one there. The Coliseum is tough because it's just in an older part of town. I don't know, sometimes promoters don't like going there. It's been a while since they've had a
you're right.
A promoted card there. Yeah. With this new arena.
The scenery's ugly.
Yeah. If they build this new arena in El Paso,
maybe that'll help us.
Maybe that helps, but that's still, it's going to take a couple years before they build that darn thing. So.
Of course. And then you talk about an outdoor event, and when you do an outdoor event, it's iffy because of the weather.
Yeah, I mean, they've had a couple, the new park downtown. Cohen's had a couple boxing shows throughout the year, but they lucked out there because they had one in November. I remember with Austin Trout, they lucked out. It actually was a warm night.
Yeah.
And then they had one in the summer. They lucked out, no rain. But
yeah, exactly. Look at the Vado tournament.
Yeah,
and it rained. It poured the night before, and it kind of ruined the area where the fans were supposed to be.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know what? Like a pro-am would be awesome. I mean, kudos to the Tapia promotions, the Teresa Tapia promotions. Great show, pro amateurs. It kind of mixed them together, and I think it was great. Speaking of promoters, Golden Eagle Promotions is based out of El Paso. It's Mr. Tony Aguilar, which I will have on my show pretty soon. We're going to talk about why he promotes somewhere else. All his fights, pro fights, are out of town.
Yeah,
he doesn't have one here. He's had a few, but it hasn't been that good. And again, maybe is it something to do with the venues, the city? Because we've also discussed, Felix, the amateur program. It hurts. I mean, we don't have as much interest in the boxing amateur program lately. Not that many fighters. The Vado show that Sunday got canceled. We had that many fighters. Last week there was only 10 fights in Las Cruces. Who knows what is happening to the shows here? I mean, Golden Gloves hasn't been a success in the last 8 years. Where they have them is ridiculous. They put us out in the judging arena. That place should be demolished. But it was pathetic. Other teams come in. Another thing that's coming up is the JOs. It's going to be in El Paso. And hopefully they're in a great venue. Like we do have one at Convention Center, but unfortunately, maybe they don't work hand to hand. Convention Center does not work like in other cities that we see. That these convention centers, the city, Roswell, New Mexico works great with their local boxing commission. Why here? Who knows, man.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nice to see. I mean, there's some good amateur fighters here in town.
Very good amateur fighters.
There's just not enough of them. The depth isn't there.
Oh, we have great gyms here, man.
Yeah, your gym's nice. This gym here is nice. Yeah, it's great, and even the PAL gym's nice. The
PAL gym.
I think it's part of it too. I think there's got to be maybe a community effort to get boxing some more exposure on the lower levels. Mm-hmm. It's like anything else. It's like football. It's like basketball. It's like soccer. You got to get kids exposed to it. I know football, you see some of the high school football teams here in town, and they're low on numbers. Like Jefferson, they barely have, between 20 and 30 players. Irvin has between 20 and 30 players, and I think that goes back to the youth.
You're right. And you know what, Felix? We do have some key figures in boxing. Yeah. We have the Junior Vicencios, we have the Herman Delgados, we have the Louis Burks, and then with that we have the pro guys. We have Austin Trout, we have Jennifer Hahn. I just think there's a key puzzle missing.
Yeah,
I think there's a piece of the puzzle missing where we cannot jive and bring huge fights. Just imagine bringing a Reese fight here.
Yep.
Right? I mean, we have the fan base. It'll sell out. Yeah, Pasoans wait to the last minute, but it will sell out. And it's been proven, like you said, in the last fights, we've had the Don Haskins Center was packed for the Chavez fight.
Yep.
And we have great venues and great people here. So who knows, man? We'll see, man. So, folks, you're on live here at Warriors Edge Boxing Gym. Thank you for being here at Web Boxing 101 Podcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We have none other but the famous. Yeah, I've only seen you and I've never had met you, Felix. But it's a pleasure to have you because you're so knowledgeable about sports, so knowledgeable about boxing. We have Felix Chavez here with us. But also, you know what? He's an El Paso and Las Cruces and El Paso. It's the same. Las Cruces and El Paso is the same. Just one city. You've just been involved in sports most of your life, but you promote it. And that's great because when we see the El Paso Times, I want to open the El Paso Times sports page and see El Paso sports. Doesn't matter what. I don't want to see what Tiger Woods did in Florida at a golfing tournament front page. Why does that happen sometimes? I want to see the front page of an El Paso local sport.
Yeah. I think sometimes it depends on timing of the year too. Sometimes in the summer it gets a little slow, and vacation, people are gone. And to be honest, we're down to 2 sports writers now. It's just me and Brett, so it's we're spread a little bit thin, but we still get to quite a bit of stuff. So
did you work for El Paso Herald Post?
No, I didn't, but I've worked with some people who did.
Do you think that the newspaper's in trouble? All over the country?
Well, the industry's changed so much. It's gone more digital oriented, video oriented, Facebook oriented. We share a lot of our stuff now on social media, Twitter. But yeah, it's definitely changing. I'm not, going forward, I'm not sure what's going to happen. In 5 years, it might just be all digital.
Right.
In some fashion.
My friends still tell me, man, you got the paper? What?
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna do something and we're gonna do something for the show. Starting, we're gonna do rapid fire questions for our guests. So it's about that time, folks. You are live here at Warriors Edge Boxing Gym, Web Boxing 101 with Mr. Felix Chavez. Rapid fire questions. You ready?
Sure.
All right. Number 1, Reese or Joshua 2?
Joshua, I think he'll come back in and knock him out. But I think it'll be a heck of a fight. I think Ruiz is going to go for it no matter what. That's just his style. But I think Joshua knocks him out and sets up a third fight.
Why Saudi Arabia?
Money, and interest. I think.
You don't think that was a horrible thing to do? We're going to see it at 10 in the morning over
here. I know.
Here.
It's going to be crazy. It's going to be interesting. It happened a few weeks ago with MMA. I know they had Khabib fought, I think, at like noon our time. But I think money, and Saudi Arabia, people forget, they have a big day of horse racing in the spring. So I think this is something similar. I know they've been talking about having a fight there. So this is about as big a fight as you can get.
12 rounds or 15 rounds for boxing?
I like the 15.
Wow, man, Rocky Marciano era.
I know it's tough on the fighters. It's hard, but man, some of those 15 round fights were great, and I think it gives the underdog a chance. It gives the favorite a chance. It's a grind. It pushes yourself to the ultimate limit.
Headgear for amateurs or no headgear?
Headgear, I think, especially at that age. I think you need it.
Well, we're not talking about. For amateurs, at what age? USA Boxing, the Olympics will have no headgear.
Yeah.
So you say headgear, right?
I still say
making
headgear.
the sport safer, right?
If you're gonna do it at 15, if you're an amateur, you should do it at 23, even if you're an amateur.
Right, of course. Best boxing analyst reporter.
Ooh. Larry Merchant for sure. I think from back.
Man, you got a lot of people that don't like that guy.
He was honest, and he was a heck of a writer, and he had some great stories.
Best ref of all time.
Richard Steele.
Wow, he was a good ref.
I know he was controversial at some point, but
all the refs are controversial.
But he was good for the most part. He was good. He was solid.
Steele.
He paid attention. He was focused.
You know what? Another thing that helps the refs is the size. He was a tall ref.
Yeah, he could handle the bigger fighters, and definitely, the smaller fighters if they were strong. He was there. Outdoor or indoor event for a boxing event? Outdoor or indoor for a boxing event? I like the indoor. You like the indoor? Yeah. I like outdoor. I don't know. The outdoor is cool, but I think the indoor, especially outdoor, man, if you have one in the summer, it's 100 degrees. It's not fun. Best television network for boxing? Well, HBO until they gave it up. And then I'd say through the years, probably ESPN. ESPN does a good job. Yeah, I like the announcers. Joe Tessitore. Yeah. Tessitore. Tessitore, I think. Tessitore. And then they used to have Al Bernstein for a long time in the 80s and early 90s. Speaking of Joe Tessitore,
they have him on Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
He doesn't seem right for Monday Night Football. I've heard the guy for boxing. Oh, well. Best venue or arena for boxing?
Well, I haven't been to Vegas that many times for fights. I've been to some other stuff, El Paso, Albuquerque, Las Cruces. But I'm going to say the Pit in Albuquerque. I know it's more known for basketball because, it's a...
I've never been to a boxing show.
Yeah,
They've had boxing there?
Yeah, when Johnny Tapio fought, Danny Romero fought.
Oh, that's right. It was in the Pit.
And it's a great basketball arena. It's legendary for basketball because the Lobos were great for many years. I'm from there, so of course I say that. But for boxing, it's fun. Johnny Tapio won his first title there. Back.
What makes it so special?
It's just the loudness of it. When you get 8,000 or 9,000 people in there, it's so loud. Wow. When there's 17,000, it's even crazier. But when there's 8 or 9, it's just amazing.
So the Pit.
It's legendary. In fact, when Johnny Tapia died, they had his ceremony there.
Right there.
That tells you how popular it is.
Yeah, Johnny Tapia was real popular. Mi vida loca. Best ring announcer?
Oh, Michael Buffer, I think.
Michael Buffer, you think?
Jimmy Lennon Jr. is pretty good, but
there's
Buffer,
been other ones that are pretty good.
A lot of them are good. His dad was really good. Jimmy Lennon, his dad. I've heard some old fights, and his dad was really good.
Instant replay review for boxing, yes or no?
I think, I guess, it's helped other sports a lot, especially it seems like baseball, it's helped, football. So, yeah, I would guess so. Yeah, especially if there's a knockdown or something happens after the bell. Yeah.
Wow, you would like to see instant replay in the future, right?
Yeah, but only maybe for knockdowns. Maybe not, if it gets crazy like basketball. Sometimes you get to watch a basketball game and there's just too many. There's so many delays.
Too many delays in boxing. You don't slow the sport down.
Yeah, for sure.
Folks, that's been 10 questions with Mr. Felix Chavez. That was good. You did great on those rapid fire questions. That was pretty good, man. It was fun. Folks, in closing, I'm gonna do something in closing. But Felix, thanks for being with us. Thanks for coming out to the Warrior's Edge. You're always welcome. It was a pleasure to talk boxing with you. I love it because I love to talk with people that know boxing. I know you've probably covered some of our tournaments, the Clash of the Titans, the law enforcement tournaments.
I've heard of them. I haven't been to the law enforcement.
You should. I'm one of the promoters, man, for the big show. We have all our law enforcement fight. As a matter of fact, Rich Ortega just got online. And he was one of my fighters there. He's a sheriff's deputy. But yeah, it's a great show. But you know what? Again, Felix, thanks for being part of the El Paso Times again, bringing us stories and continue to bring us boxing stories. So we thank you for that as well. Everybody knows you in the high school realm of arenas and all that. So thanks for coming out to Warrior's Edge, man. This is your home, and thanks for being part of our podcast tonight.
Thank you.
I really appreciate it. And in closing, folks, I'm going to talk about the Logan Paul KS1 fight as a joke and an embarrassment to boxing. What other conclusion can you draw on one of the biggest broadcasters, relative newcomer DAZN, decided to make a showdown between two amateur fighters known for their YouTube channels, the main event of a card, just for the sake of attracting new subscribers? Really? I cannot believe it. I guess it's in the grand scheme of things, this is not a terrible idea. I'm not saying it is. And attract a new younger audience by staging a fight between two guys, okay, with a bunch of followers who do whatever the fuck they want or whatever the hell they want, pardon my French, in that platform. And maybe, just maybe, you'll hook a few of them on the fight game and they'll be fans forever. Okay, whatever. But there's got to be a better way than this. DAZN, you got to have more respect for the sport than this circus. But this is shaping up to be another bad look for the sport that suffered a secession of them this year. Last week, DAZN embarrassed the sport by delaying the start of the Canelo-Kovalev fight in Las Vegas until after the UFC match ended in New York. Boxing continues to struggle, folks, to make the fight fans really want because of the political bullshit of the sport's promotional structure. And worse, there have been an unfortunate number of ring-related deaths in 2019 that highlight how dangerous boxing forever remains. Guys put their lives on the line every single time they step into the ring, and few sports have the ability to lift up their athletes, who often come from absolute nothing, to levels of prosperity. Sure, it comes at a price when you're getting your head pounded, but fighters know what they're signing up, and I've always respected the honor, the lines the sport refuses to cross, and that makes it so different compared to other popular combat sports. But this main event garbage that we witnessed Saturday night between YouTubers who have zero boxing credentials and would get annihilated if they ever stepped into the ring with the real fighter like Earl Spence, Canelo Alvarez, Terrence Crawford. You're telling me this is good look for the sport like people have mentioned? Come on, folks. Wake up. It's not good for the sport. Folks, this has been our show. We will see you next Thursday on the Web Boxing 101 podcast. And I've always said, anything you do, put God first. This has been Web Boxing. Tree out.